If we can have quiet, we're going to begin. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to open the Wednesday, June 18th, Trumbull Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Roll call. Ms. Delvecchio, you're here. Ms. Hall, you're here. Mr. Silber is absent. Mr. Kroll, you're here. Mr. Cousins is here. Mr. Deacon is here. I'm here, Linda. We're good? All right. So we are going to take a special exception. We're going to move something up the agenda, the 824 referral, municipal improvement referral, report to the town council regarding the location of a new middle school on the existing school campus of town-owned property commonly known as 53 Daniels Farm Road. I think I need a motion to move that. Is there a motion to move that up in the agenda? Ms. Teagan, second. Ms. Delvecchio, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good. You're not voting, yeah. And Ms. Hall is voting for Ms. Silber tonight. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, James Nugent. I'm 121. Yeah, James Nugent. I'm Assistant Town Attorney on 121 Sterling Road, Trumbull. I am advising the Hillcrest Building Committee on this project to build a new middle school. Also with me tonight is Mr. Joe Costa. He is the chairman of the building committee, and we are here seeking the approval on the 824 referral. There have been some documents submitted in advance. I hope everybody has seen those. This is a very early preliminary drawing of the location of the school and a letter from the architectural firm the committee hired to design the school. That's TSKP Studio, who wrote a letter in support of this location. And what I'd just like to summarize, which I think kind of says it all here, we have very limited space available for the new school. If you know the campus up there at Hillcrest, the existing school is going to remain and occupied by students while the new school is in the process of being built. So that has to stay. There are wetlands and wood on one side. There's a stream and the Daniels Farm Road on the other side, and the school on the north side. So the location that has been selected is realistically the only possible place to locate the new building. We interviewed actually the final four architectural firms to award that architectural contract. All four of them had it in the same place. Other than taking over a lot of athletic field space behind the existing building, which makes no sense, this is the only place to build it. So we are asking for that approval from the commission tonight.
Thank you. I'll do my 824. I'll do my 824 reminder of what we're here for. I don't know why there's an echo tonight, but so when we have 824s, Jim, do me a favor, shut yours off. Did it go away? Look at that. I should have been an engineer. All right, so when we do 824s, our scope as planning and zoning is on the application to recommend or not recommend to the town council. The purview of planning and zoning is not should the town spend the money, should the town do the project, should it be in a different location. None of those subjects are for our purview. Planning and zoning only looks at the town has a request for use of property, change of property, sale or purchase of property. Doesn't make sense for the intent. So we are kind of limited in scope. Everybody doesn't always realize that, so we're going to go around and see if the commissioners have any questions right now. Mr. Kroll, Mr. Cousins, Mr. Deacon, Ms. Delvecchio, Ms. Hall. None. 824s don't require public comment, but we do generally allow it if there is somebody from the public who'd like to speak for or against. Now is your opportunity. Come up to the microphone, name and address for the record. Okay. Staff, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
No, other than the fact that the architect's letter identifies a few statistical aspects of the project, is square footage and things of this nature, but it's a lengthy design process. We won't have schematic plans really until probably January for some real definite aspects of the design itself. But other than that, no, I have nothing else to add.
Yeah, we can all say we know that the town, I think you're gonna have to shut off. We're gonna have to do that all night. So, town has a need, it's probably the closest location possible, the town already owns it, so I think that we're good. No other comments, I will take a motion to close the hearing. Mr. Vecchio, seconded, Mr. Deacon, all in favor, aye, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll take a motion. Mr. Deacon, to approve?
Motion to approve.
There you go. Is there a second? Ms. Hall seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Good luck to everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice night.
Okay. So, everybody paying attention at home, when you come up to the microphone, hit the green button. When you stop talking, turn it off. We'll be good. All right. So, number 1, text amendment. Applicant Connecticut Trumbull Village LLC is requesting to modify Trumbull zoning regulations by revising Article 2, Section 2.7.2.3 of the Village Residence District. Copy of regulation on file with Trumbull P&Z office and Trumbull Town Clerk file 2507. This is continued from March and April, and the public hearing portion is closed, so there's no input from the podium tonight. So, at this point, does staff have anything that you would like to discuss with us that took place or that we need to know for tonight's discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just that no modifications were made to the proposed text amendment since we last discussed. So whatever is in front of you is
Okay.
the proposed text amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Cordone? any- You should. It landed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there were discussions with the applicant's attorney regarding possible amendments and revisions to the application, but at this time, I don't have a proposed amendment for the commission to consider. So it's really what is before the commission tonight, and your decisions to either modify, approve, or deny.
Okay. Thank you. So, for the public and then to understand when things are tabled, and there were a lot of questions last time and possibilities of modifications, and I think some of the modifications had receptive ears on both sides, but it looks like from everyone's input, the modifications might be a little more technical and more involved in being able to modify this particular application that's in front of us. So, with that being said, I know that this commission offered less, less dense options and age-restricted options. And we weren't able to simply modify and get that language in front of us tonight, so we have to deal with the language that we have. So, as any of the other commissioners want to say anything before and ask for a motion?
Does someone have the text in front of them to read a brief summary of what we're passing?
You have the text from last time?
Yeah, Commissioner Cousins, the text is a modification to the existing text, and I can.
Right, what was that modification?
It was in summary to change the location of where this zone could apply to additional locations. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm choking, so you
Yeah.
read it out loud.
Yeah, I thank you. Ms. Finger our clerk just handed me the application, which I also have here, but she's faster than I am, so I couldn't get to it. It allows the street location to be either, which adds the word either, on a state highway, and then it adds additional language, or must be located entirely with 2,500 feet of the intersection of exit 50 along the Merritt Parkway and White Plains Road located north of the Merritt Parkway and east of White Plains Road. Thank you.
All right, so at this time, I'll take a motion so we can just move forward to the discussion part of the motion. Whatever motion you're gonna make.
Mr. Chairman, we usually take a motion to approve.
Yeah.
And
It sounds,
even if it doesn't go that
you know,
way.
it's awful to say this, but almost 30 years ago, I had to learn that lesson. All motions are usually to approve, and then the discussion goes whichever way it goes.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the amendment as in the agenda.
Okay, is there a second? Mr. Cousins, second. Okay, now we'll open discussion. And I'll just start, and then I'll go around the room. Everybody but Mr. Kroll can discuss. So, we made great efforts to say that we understand that developers have property and have ability to develop, and there are options that exist, and there are options that exist within Trumbull, and then there are options that exist within the state of Connecticut. So when the Trumbull options don't work, developers have the option to go to and use the state of Connecticut regulations that will trump and supersede Trumbull's regulations. So in this particular case, the applicant was willing to come in and work with Trumbull to modify language to be able to develop. But we didn't come to a meeting of the minds on what those numbers actually should be for that neighborhood and the density and age restriction. So I think some of that is possible in the near future. It's not possible for this particular application, right? So I am not in favor of this application as it stands here. So I'll go around the room the opposite way this time. Ms. Hall, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, like as you said, there's no changes to the density or the age restrictions.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Cousins? No. Okay.
I'm not in favor of the application.
Okay. So, is there any other further discussion on the application? No? Hearing none. All those in favor of the application as it stands in written, say aye. One. Mr. Cousins. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the motion fails. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with everybody in the future to come to a better agreement. Thank you. All right, so we have number 2 on the agenda, zone change, 12 Cambridge Drive, applicant 12 Cambridge Drive. Just so everybody realizes, I'm going to read 2 at the same time. Zone change, 12 Cambridge Drive, applicant 12 Cambridge Drive LLC, requesting zone change to the property located at 12 Cambridge Drive from IL2 to age-restricted housing overlay zone pursuant to Article 2, 4.2 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations. Folks, you can't talk in the room, please. Folks, you can't talk in the room while we're having the hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, can you move outside, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that is file 2509. I'm also going to read number 3, which is 12 Cambridge Drive, Realty LLC requesting special permit site plan approval for development of a mixed-use multifamily housing pursuant to Article 2, Section 4.2, Article 4, Section 4.2, App A of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, file 2510. For those watching at home and for those here, there's 2 steps in the application at this point. When the zone is not what required where they want to develop, they have to apply the new zone that they'd like it to be, and then after they apply the zone, then they have to actually present the application that they'd like to build on it. So that's what we have tonight. For the applicant, we're going to discuss both at the same time. Please intermingle them, and then when we're done, we'll take one at a time in the voting structure as we usually do. So name and address for the record. Thank you. And when you do that, then I'm going to go to staff because this is a bigger application. He's going to talk before you.
Understood, Mr. Chair. Ryan Hoyler with Robinson & Cole, here on behalf of 12 Cambridge Drive LLC. And just for the record, with me tonight, I have Matt, Cheka, our engineer, Josh Herman, our traffic engineer, Frank Demerly, our architect, and and we also have David Weiss, a representative of the owner and the applicant here tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, you want to give us a quick overview of what we have in front of us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, this is two applications, one for a zone change and one for a text amendment, one for a zone change and one for a special permit site plan modification for a mixed-use multifamily housing development. This application, due to the regulations, had to go through a few other commissions as well, too. Before it got here, they received a positive recommendation from the Police Commission, the Inland Wetlands Commission, and WPCA. The applicant received a letter from MetroCog stating no regional impact, and we did send a letter to the City of Bridgeport notifying them of the project as it is within 300 feet of the project, the town line, and we received no comments. As stated prior, that this application does include a zone change, and if one application isn't approved, then both applications should be denied. So just a brief overview of the location itself. It is in the IL2 zone. They are requesting to add the age-restricting overlay zone. The proposed development would have 124 units, 326 parking spaces. It's on 5.89 acres. The proposed building footprint would be 31,259 square feet. It would be a total, as it is 4 stories, of 130,209 square feet. There is an existing 2-story office building on site, which is 22,361 square feet. The location in general, the property abuts, as I said, the town of Bridgeport line to the south is within the IL2 zone, which extends to the north and west of the property. It also abuts the residential A zone to the east and is located at the end of the cul-de-sac. The property also, as stated, has an existing office building, which is deemed to stay on site definitely. If you go to the next page of my review, we did go down the regulations to make sure that this application does comply with the regulations that they are trying to use. Section 4.2.2, the location criteria. They do meet the criteria as the regulations state that it has to be located in the IL2 zone, 5 acres, and has to be south of the Merritt and west of Route 25. So the property is 5.98 acres. The development standards of density, the standards in the regulations say 25 units per acre. Since this is 5.98 acres, they are proposing 124 units, which they do comply. The height allowed is 4 stories. The setbacks, they do comply with the setbacks. No variances are required. The building lot and coverage, they are within the regulations. One thing that would need to be discussed is the parking. Since this parking lot is very large, and there is an office building there, and adding more parking spaces to the site doesn't really make sense because there is different types of uses at different times of the day. So discussion should be with this commission in terms of shared parking with the site, and this commission has the right to approve or deny the use of shared parking. The application is for age restricted. There is 10% affordable with this application. There is landscaping within the site plan. There's signage, allowable signage within the site plan. There's a photometric plan showing that there is no light pollution beyond the property line. There is a list of comments that I did send to the attorney for review. If I just go down them quickly, just so the commission's aware. How will the trash be collected on site? Does everyone have access to the dumpsters? Will the development be gated? Is there any fill being removed or brought into the site? What is the estimated start and completion dates? Is there a generator on site? Will there be a car charging station on site? All sidewalks and crosswalks must be ADA compliant. Will a maintenance crew be on site? If so, where will they store their equipment? Please have the traffic consultant available at the June 18th meeting. Will any blasting be required? Where is the snow shelf located? All mechanics on the roof must be screened from the road due to the topography on Old Town Road. You'd be able to see the rooftop a little more than from Cambridge Drive, so screening should be required. And what are the number of studio, 2 and 1 bedroom units? I didn't see those on the plan. I may have missed it. I just wanted to put down the record that, those number of units. And then I would like to see the architectural designs. I know we talked about a couple of options of the architectural designs. Maybe you guys could go through those. That being said, there was a traffic study done from Stonefield on February 12, 2025. The conclusion was that the traffic generated on site should not adversely impact the traffic operations on the surrounding roadway network. The weekday peak total would be 43, and the weekday evening total would be 49, and Saturday the peak would be 48. So with my conclusion, I did include the statement of purpose for this proposed overlay zone. That's for the commission to read. If this application is approved, I would just state that this statement of purpose, that they comply with these items in there. And just to read the conclusion, the main purpose of the age-restricted housing overlay zone is to allow age-restricted residential use in the IL2 zone. As this is an overlay zone, the primary industrial zone is still present, which allows any developer or property owner to still utilize the property for office or industrial use. Only if they meet the specified age-restricted housing zone requirements and go through the planning and zoning process, which requires special permit, can they look into the residential use. Our Planning, Conservation, Development, and Housing Study talk about allowing different types of housing options other than single family. The goals to encourage new housing opportunities for the elderly, encourage housing affordable to working families and single individuals. POCD, page 61. The POCD also talks about how economically positive it is to have these types of housing in the vicinity of commercial zones. We have seen from our incentive housing zone study that Trumbull is very limited on alternative types of housing. We have also seen the growth in our elderly population. 82% of our housing stock is single-family residential. Only 14% is units with more than 5 families. The POCD also talks about providing the elderly services to help them age in place. This application will have little to no impact on the school system, but may have an impact on other services such as EMS and fire. In a planning perspective, this aligns with sustainable and inclusive planning. Walkability and access to industrial areas often have existing infrastructure in our near transportation corridors, which benefits seniors' mobility. Age-friendly communities promote independence, safety, and dignity for older adults, which is a key principle in modern municipal planning. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 questions about the planner's report. 2 questions.
Sir.
Does application number 2 for the zoning change meet the requirements that we have as it's presented?
Yes.
Does the next application, the way it's presented, meet the requirements for the application of the zone change?
Yes.
Oh, that was great. See, that took 30 seconds. Okay, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to be so succinct. If it's okay, I'd like to have my colleague just pass out these printouts we put together, just so you have them for your records. It's a full set of the presentation we're going through tonight, as well as both the application packages for the special permit and the zone change, the zone map change. I believe there should be enough for everyone, hopefully. All right, so to start tonight, again, we have a number of slides. We're not going to spend time on all of them. We do want to be succinct tonight, so I'm going to spend time on the important ones. We have 2 applications before you tonight. The first is to amend the zoning map to apply the age-restricted housing overlay zone in industrial zone IL2 to the property at 12 Cambridge Drive. This is a property that's in the IL2 zone. I don't think we have any more. Okay. It's in the IL2 zone, and we were here back in February and January for the zone text change to have this new text added. Additionally, we're here for a site plan special permit to develop a mixed-use, multifamily building toward the west side of the existing lot. The lot at 12 Cambridge Drive currently has a commercial building on the east side of the lot. That building will remain, hence the mixed-use nature of the application. The lot will be both a commercial building and a multifamily building. The multifamily will be age-restricted to over 55 and will be at least 10% affordable. The existing area on which the new building is being put up is largely disturbed already. It's an existing parking lot. There are no wetlands on the site or watercourses. The closest wetland or watercourse is at least 700 feet away from the site. There's access off of both Cambridge Drive and Old Town Road. There's existing access off of Cambridge Drive. Access off of Old Town Road will be added as part of the development. We've had quite the administrative approval process getting here. As part of the zone text change, we required approval from the WPCA, the Police Commission, and Wetlands. We received approval from WPCA on February 26th, Police on March 18th, and Wetlands and Engineering have reviewed the plans in April and confirmed that we do not need to apply for a wetlands permit due to the distance to the nearest wetlands. We've also been in touch ahead of this hearing with the fire marshal, the health department, and the building department to have discussions with them as well.
I'll tell you a secret. You had to have all that to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yep, or else we wouldn't be here. So, so far the only feedback we've gotten is from the building department, who wanted to make sure that the correct number of ADA accessible units will be there in the building. We can confirm that that will be the case. The application of the zone map change to this property does a number of things. Under the zoning regulations, it helps promote housing choice and economic diversity by having an over 55 community that is at least 10% affordable housing. In fact, the number of units is 124. We're actually going to be providing 13 affordable units, so it's something like 10.6% affordable housing, and theoretically we'll get the town closer to that 10% number. Additionally, the POCD seeks to encourage housing opportunities for the elderly, and while the moratorium applies to multifamily residential housing, it does not apply to age-restricted housing. Additionally, the IL2 district planning study, I'm not going to spend a ton of time going through this because it's part of what we did with the zone text change back in February and March, but the IL2 district planning study basically states that there should be mixed-use developments, particularly for the populations that need it, within the IL2 zones, looking specifically to the southern IL2 zone near the Bridgeport border in which this property lies. Finally, the Affordable Housing Plan from 2018 advocates for affordable housing, and again, at least 10% of the units will be restricted to residents who earn 80% or less of the area median income. Here is the site location. You can see the boundary, the border with Bridgeport immediately to the south. As a note, there is a residential community directly across the street to the south. It appears to be a condo complex. Therefore, for purposes of mail notice, we actually went a little conservative, and instead of mailing to 250 feet, we mailed to 300 feet, just to make sure that all of those Bridgeport residents would be sure to get notice of this application. Again, looking at the site from the overhead, to the east of the site, which is to the left of the screen, you will see the existing building. The existing parking lot that we're going to be building our building on top of is to the west of the site. The properties to the west and to the south are residential areas. They're residential neighborhoods. If you go past the commercial property to the east, it's also another residential neighborhood. There are industrial and commercial properties to the north of the site, but if you go a block even north of that, there's more residential neighborhood. So this development really does fit in with the neighborhood that's already there. Not going to speak a ton to this. As staff pointed out, we meet the requirements for the overlay zone for the application for the special permit that we're here for tonight. As I noted, this is an appropriate use for the site. It is largely a residential neighborhood. The IL2 study recommends residential development within existing developed lots within the IL2 zone, which is exactly what this is. There will be multiple multifamilies around this, including 10 Trumbull, Woodside Trumbull, the Bridges at Epoch, and the River Valley Retirement Community are all within 2 or 3 blocks within Trumbull of this site. And finally, the development will allow for the redevelopment of an underutilized industrial property. The parking lot on which we're going to be building this is a little older. This building, when you see the renderings at the end, is a very nice looking building. We think it really fits in with the site. It's well screened from the surrounding properties. You can see it from Old Town Road, particularly at the entrance. However, pursuant to comments we've heard back from the commission previously, we've made sure that any rooftop materials are well screened from view, and we do think the architectural renderings look very good. Surface and groundwater protection is generally not an issue at this site. As noted, the nearest surface water is at least 700 feet away. We've been in touch with engineering. Our engineering team has been thoroughly in touch with engineering throughout the development of these plans, and Wetlands has confirmed that due to the distance to any surface waters, there's no concerns about wetlands or wetland permit issues. The site plans include an extensive drainage plan providing sufficient drainage for surface water on the property. And as noted, we've been in front of WPCA with regard to our sewer connections. They have approved that. We also have will serve letters from Aquarion Water Company to be able to properly serve the site. And again, as I noted, it's going to be well screened, particularly from the residential properties to the east. There's already significant existing tree screening there. To the industrial properties to the north, there's significant tree screening there along the power company easement that you'll see on the plans. And to the south, we're planting new trees between the building and the properties to the south in Bridgeport. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Matt, who's going to go through some of the engineering plans.
Thank you, Ryan. And just for the record, Matthew Cheka with Stonefield Engineering and Design, civil engineer for the project. So, we want to give the board a sense of where we stand and look at this site. We've spoken a lot about it, and we want to pause here and just show the board a colorized rendering, that shows the placement of the building on this parcel. To give the board a sense of direction, north is plan left, which means Cambridge Drive is plan left, and then Old Town Road is to the plan right. So when I describe where we are, I'll use plan left and plan right. So the 124 unit building is located in the middle of that existing parking area that was mentioned by town staff and Ryan. We're proposing 178 surface parking spaces and 138 garage spaces and 2 lower level parking areas. And we say 2 lower level parking areas because the way that the site's situated is that Old Town Road is much higher than Cambridge Drive. So the building's stepped in a way where we can introduce entrances to the parking levels on either side of the main entrance, which you can see is in the middle of the building. So what we've done is those parking entrances allow to enter one parking level, but once you're inside that parking area, you can't go to the second level or the first, depending on where you go. They're completely separate. The parking, or the main entrance itself, is directly in the middle of the site there, where that little notch is in the middle of the building. We've introduced a pickup and drop-off area specifically for that intention. And directly across from that pickup and drop-off area, we have our ADA parking stalls, which we want to mention are ADA compliant per the federal and state guidelines. We're excited to propose around 4,000 square feet of amenity space, which is plan right adjacent to Old Town Road. We have a sunken courtyard, which will be just an outdoor seating area, as well as a small little sports court, we'll call it, and additional on-grade amenities for seating and potential barbecues and stuff like that. I'm gonna flip to, I'm not gonna go through all of the plans that we've prepared. I think it's just being a little tedious, but if you flip through your packets, you'll be able to see the additional plans that we've prepared, full site plan package, utilities, stormwater, grading, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to pause at the utility plan, however. We, like Ryan mentioned, we approached Aquarian Water, we got our WPCA approval. All of those new services are being installed in the Old Town Road right-of-way.
Just noticing something at the front of each packet are 11 by 17 plans, so you do not have to look at the 8.5 by 11 plans that are in the packet. If you go to the front page, you can pull those out. They're 11 by 17.
Thank you. And to speak to, again, the utilities, all on Old Town Road, will be all the new services will serviced by the existing utilities within that corridor. Regarding the lighting, we have 20-foot tall poles, all downward facing LED light fixtures, spaced appropriately through the site. Again, the photometrics plan is there that shows all the necessary foot candles that we believe is appropriate for residential use. We do want to point out, though, that was mentioned before, that the lighting was designed in a manner where we don't have any spillover over property lines to bleed into any of the other residential properties or adjacent properties to our site. We think that's very important. Regarding the landscaping, we've spent a lot of time on this, and we really tried to introduce plantings as best as possible, going as far as adding landscape islands in replacing of parking stalls to add more trees, which you can see on the rendering, and then the entrance where we're proposing on Old Town Road, we've introduced additional plantings there to give it more of a residential feel. Additional screening and plantings have been planted or proposed to be planted on the Old Town Road side, and the existing trees will remain as best as practical with the installation of those amenity services. The rest of the plans that you see are just construction details, and I'm just going to turn it over to Josh to speak to the traffic component.
And we're, of course, happy to answer any questions you have about the plans. We wanted to get through this succinctly and shortly tonight and didn't want to spend 5 minutes on each slide, but we are more than happy to answer any questions about these plans.
You have the real pictures of what it's going to look like?
Absolutely. We have renderings, yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Herman. I'm a traffic engineer, also with Stonefield Engineering and Design. We prepared a traffic report for this development. So as you can see in your packets, as well as on the screens, this project is expected to generate up to 49 vehicles during the highest peak hour, which is the weekday evening peak hour. One thing to note is that that's for a general residential development, but this being an age-restricted development, we would anticipate even less traffic than that, given that there are some people in that demographic that wouldn't necessarily be commuting to and from work during the morning and evening peak commuter hours. So these are conservative projections, but based on these projections, we would not anticipate an impact on neighboring roadways, adjacent roadways, and these trips, the 49 trips, one thing to point out is that the access to the site would be provided from both Old Town Road and Cambridge, so it's distributed between the two access points, not just one point of access. In terms of the parking, so the site provides 308 parking spaces, but whereas 271 spaces are required, that's for both the office development as well as the residential development. And as my colleague Matt mentioned earlier, there are more than 130 spaces underground in the parking garage, which provides more than one per residential unit indoor spaces. So that's really sufficient parking to accommodate the parking demand for the uses on the site. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Frank.
Again, just to go back to the parking real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to the grand finale, which is the renderings. The regulations, both the existing regulations as well as the new overlay zone, permit and encourage the use of shared parking between existing buildings. In this case, the existing commercial building, we can share up to 25% parking under the regulations. As noted, we think that due to the age-restricted development here, there's not going to be as much traffic at the commuter times directly. So we really do feel that the shared parking is appropriate here and that there are more than enough spaces with the shared parking to accommodate both 1.5 spaces per the residential building and the required spaces for the existing commercial building. With that, I am going to turn it over to Frank, who will go quickly through the interiors.
Are you guys the landlords for both?
Yes, we own both buildings.
So you get the complaints?
I just had one question. Is 130 underground spaces inclusive in the 308, or is it an addition?
Yes, it's inclusive. It's part of the 308 total.
Okay, thank you.
Frank Demerly, Demerly Design Studio, Rockville Center, New York. So you're looking at the first lower level plan here, which is showing all the parking and some of the amenity spaces, and the lower level of the courtyard, which is sunken in on Old Town Road. The next parking level has more amenity spaces with a double height space in the corner to the right, pan right. We have a game room there. We have some locker rooms. We have a sauna. We have some yoga areas. We have some amenity spaces that will keep people happy within the building. Then you look at the floor plan, you're going to see a combination of 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. We currently have 48 2 bedrooms and 76 1 bedrooms and 0 studios, which I'd answer one of the planner's questions.
How many elevators are there?
Excuse me?
Elevators. Elevators.
Yeah.
How many?
Yes, there's 3 elevators. There's 1 on each side and 1 in the middle. There's stair towers along the same side as the elevators as well, with egress, and we have a refuse room in the middle of the building that will take the garbage down into the lower levels.
Can you repeat that, the number, the room types again,
Yes,
please?
we have 48 2 bedrooms and 76 1 bedrooms. 0 studios and 0 3 bedrooms. The average 1 bedroom size is 738 square feet. The 2 bedrooms are about 1,031 square feet. The building footprint is around 31,000 square feet per floor, and that's that there. So then we can go to the exterior renderings you're looking at from the Old Town Road, looking back at the building, where the building would then slope down to the first parking entrance, and then the second, the entrance to the building, and then you'll get all the way down. And these renderings, what we've created for you guys was an image giving different materials, giving you a sense of what the size of the windows would be, the balconies, the overall height. The rendering got caught.
You have, sorry, you have card key access, is just straight walking in, is there
No, there's gonna
somebody at a desk? What is it gonna be?
It's gonna be card key access. We'll have monitors and security on all of the doors. It's almost like a hotel where you come in the beginning, in the front. There's not gonna be a doorman at this time.
No doorman in it?
Not at this time.
Okay.
We can come back to that with the owner later on. But you'll have a few of these options here. The idea behind the facade was that since it's a long building, we tried to break it up by having recesses along the front. And within those recesses, having a change of material, whether it be a metal panel, a dark color, or something more warmer with wood, and keeping the parapets low. We didn't go for a pitch roof or a shed roof, above, where you'd have to go higher. If you notice some of the buildings around here, you have the big peaks on top, where people put mechanical systems and such. We're not doing that on this property, to keep the lower of the building down, so that when you're going down, you see it, you're not seeing this huge top to a building. This rendering is a fiber cement stucco building with windows, larger windows there. This rendering is a little bit different, a little bit more warm color, a little bit different windows treatment around the windows. You see the planting. This one is during the day of this same guy here, showing you planting trees to the left. To the
Are you showing us different parts of the building, or you haven't chosen?
It's the same. It's the same view. It's the same model. It's just different materials on each one. I have another rendering of the building when we get down.
You're using them all, or you're going to pick one?
We're in the midst of creating the feel for the building with the client and stuff like that. But this is the overall tone and feel of what the building.
You're supposed to pick that before you come. You're not supposed to show them. It's going to be one of these 3.
Well, we knew, based on the comments that we received back in the winter, that we might receive comments back on the exterior of the building, so we wanted to provide the commission with options to look at here.
I never want to pick a color, and I don't think I'll ever let them pick a color.
Okay.
So,
In that
you know,
case,
that's
you know,
your job.
Yeah, we can certainly, pick one of these in the next.
Yeah, no. I just want, every once in a while I pay attention. I just wanted to make sure what you were showing me was 3 different parts of the building or it's multiple choice.
Yeah, that's, so then, so with that in mind, we'll go to the next, go down further. So this would be the front of the building with the main entrance, coming in with a portico, so that you arrive there. You'll see that the wood separates in between. We give it some warmth, separation between the recesses of the building, so you have a shadow line and recesses, so that it doesn't look so flat and long. I guess since we had that comment, we can show you the other options. Just a lighter tone wood, different portico in the front, and this is a metal panel system. We're also introducing a wood underneath the balconies to warm the front of the building. I mean, that's basically.
Can you go back to those?
Sure.
Yeah, that looks like the Mohegan Sun version.
The Mohegan.
No, go forward. Yeah. That's nice. It'll good. Thank you.
And I'm here to answer any questions on materials and any kind of feel for the inside of the building.
Again, I would allow a discussion on materials if you had presented us the materials.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into a discussion on the hypotheticals with the
Well,
commission picking and choosing between your options.
Agreed. So the materials would be more fiber cement and wood.
What you can do is check with staff and say, this is what we did, and we're good with landscaping and all of that. Staff has the final say.
With that, you have the full presentation in front of you. Again, each of you have 11 by 17 plans to be able to view, along with the full application packages. To go through some of the other questions quickly just before we end that staff had, it will not be a gated community. There will be some fencing and screenage along the eastern side with that other residential property, but it will not be a gated community. It will be a card access building, as mentioned by Frank. There will be a slight amount of fill involved being removed from the site. There's no fill being added to the site because we didn't have to go for a wetlands application. We'll have to do those calculations, but it's not tens of thousands of square feet of fill that's being removed. It's a small number. Yeah, it's just cut from the cutting into the building. So the estimated start and stop time will largely depend on what happens tonight or at future hearings and how things move with building and building permits after that. But obviously the client and the applicant here would like to get moving sooner rather than later. So
How about a start to finish when you do pull the trigger?
David Weiss here with ownership. We typically like to say that project start to finish is within the 24-month time frame period. It's one of those things that are difficult to absolutely commit to because it depends on what we've encountered once we're actually in the ground. But typically it's 24 months from when we start and we have substantial completion, and then there'll be some compliance, I guess, for a certificate of occupancy, and then marketing and an occupancy of the actual tenants thereafter. So that's generally the time frame that we like to see, with obviously with some time cushion in the event that we run into something which is unforeseen. But we've delivered in shorter time period than that, but that's generally a nice time frame. It's like 24-30.
Thank you. And before you leave, your address, before Linda asks, you need an address too. She was going to ask you for that.
My office address is 18 East 41st Street, 3rd floor, in Manhattan, New York, New York.
Thank you.
Is it? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
But I guess once I'm up here, with respect to the material options, as was mentioned by Ryan and by Frank as well, we understand that we have huge deference to this town and to its staff. We wouldn't expect that you'd be sitting here and asking you what color palette to choose. And as you can see, the flavor is generally within more or less one tone. The goal and the objective was to show that we have created what we believe is a palette and a material selection that we feel is appropriate based on
Right.
the comments and the feedback that we had. And it would be
I'm
along
going to
those lines.
interrupt you and tell you, you did. You know, because when you guys were here the first time, shut yourself for 1 second. When you guys were here the first time, it was a Xerox building. And now it looks like an apartment building. Well done. It really looks like what we asked for. You warmed it up. It looks inviting. It looks like a residence. That's what we asked for. Whichever one you pick, they all work. So whatever you do, but you listened, and thank you.
Excellent, thank you. That's very encouraging to hear positive feedback from the town. Thank you.
And let me just quickly go through the rest of them so we can finish here. There will not be a generator on site. There will be car charging on site. Our owner here is a very big proponent of electric vehicles, and we will be working with the town, particularly with the fire marshal, to put car charging in the appropriate places. So possibly not inside, because that can create fire issues, but we will definitely be doing car charging on the site. The sidewalks are already, the ones that exist are ADA compliant, and anything that we add will be ADA compliant as well. There will be a maintenance person, a super. Whether they are in the building or nearby will largely kind of depend on the market at the time and how things are looking, but there will be a maintenance person, and they will have materials to do maintenance in the property. You've heard a discussion from Josh about traffic. It will be very minimal traffic with the 2 ingress and egress points, so it won't just be going out of one place on Old Town Road. There will be no blasting at the site to do this. There's not a particular area for snow storage. However, we have abundant parking with more than extra spaces. In fact, if you do the shared parking, there's almost 40 extra spaces. So there will be plenty of room to utilize those spaces for snow storage if that comes up. And then finally, what was the last one? I had screening. So yes, it will be any of the mechanics on the roof as shown from the viewpoints from Old Town Road will be screened from Old Town Road. So you will not see any of the mechanics on the roof when driving by Old Town Road.
So I'll just bring some shut yourself. So I'll just bring something up. What I had just asked is, this is one of the first applications that's come up with car charging, and we don't have a you have to show it to us rule, but you should. So there's probably going to be a condition that it's going to have to be approved by staff because it takes up parking. Like when the mall came, that was a presentation, they had to do it. It wasn't a forethought, so it's not in our, because regulation, you're going to use parking spaces. They can only be used for that, so they're not parking spaces anymore, right? So whatever you're going to do would have to be done with staff. You know, I'm not saying no, but, you know, it's going to be a condition of approval that staff is okay with where it's going, along with the building department and fire marshal and everybody else.
If I may address that comment, this is something that we deal with typically regularly on our other developments as well. And what's interesting is that we found that as the adoption of electric vehicles proliferates, if that's the right word, we found that the way in which electrical vehicle charging and their allocated spots has changed as well. So whereas in the past it had been spots that were dedicated only for the purpose of charging and then were moved, we found that there are times when it's appropriate to have sufficient electrical vehicle charging that are dedicated spots if we have the right type of market. That having been said, we are in agreement that it would have to be worked out in such fashion that it would accommodate the needs for both the electrical vehicles that would need to be charged and for the tenants and for other users at the property, I guess tenants and their guests and whatnot, to have appropriate. What we've also found, and this is something very, very interesting, and I had asked Brian to mention, in other townships that we're working, is that fire marshals are beginning to get involved with electrical vehicle charging in buildings, and that's because they're finding it difficult to fight fires in the event that it does break out at an electric vehicle. So there is a strategic concept of having those spots near the entryway that firefighter apparatus can get to them quickly. So I'm not looking to scare anyone or trying to rewrite any rules, but point being that we are taking a very strategic approach to how we deal with this to ensure that everyone, be it the safety and the municipal emergency services, have input to the extent that they would like to, or at some point feel that it's appropriate. That's certainly something that we're taking into consideration. But yes, it's something that I'm very sensitive to. I've been driving electric cars for 10 years already.
If I could just add something to that, I believe that there's a state standard now, due to the amount of parking, that we required that, I believe Trumbull Center had to have electric vehicle charging stations as well, too.
So
Just specifically
there
said.
is state requirements on top. So that's why I said, you know, like I redid the staff report, I'll redo yours. Just check with the staff and check with engineering and check with the fire marshal. Because I use absurdities as metaphors. Let's say you wanted 50 of them. You can't get rid of 50 parking spaces type of thing. So whatever it's gonna be and nice and safe, they'll all work it out. I just wanted to tell you it's gonna be a condition that staff has to approve, whatever that's gonna be, that's all.
Excellent, thank you. very
Appreciate it,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add one more thing. The no generator on site, you may have, you may want to talk to the fire marshal about that, because we've required that in most of the other developments due to if, God forbid, something happens and we don't have a place of refuse for that many people, then the town has the burden to have that, so.
Understood. That's absolutely something that we can consider and add. You know, it's just not part of the plans right now, but it's absolutely something that we can add. So, yeah.
The chair?
If I may address that. We have, we've already retained, and we have on our staff and in our regular project calls, we have Glickman Engineering, which is a very well-regarded, very fairly well-known mechanical engineering team. We had extensive discussion regarding the generators. It just never made it to this stage of design yet, and we didn't feel it was appropriate to bring them in. It's quite premature, but we are very advanced in terms of discussions and planning to ensure that we are fully in compliance with all of the regulations and requirements.
Let's just pretend it's not a regulation at this point, but it could be a condition to install a generator. You'd be comfortable with that?
Yes, absolutely. We believe it's prudent.
Right.
He answered it. Thank you.
Okay.
With that, we would like to open it up to questions and any discussion the
Aye.
commission may have. Thank you.
I'll go around the room the opposite way again here. Mr. Kroll, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I've been over there, there's a large number of like school vans that are being stored over there, like, you know, at least a couple of dozen, right? Is that any concern with the shared parking?
If David could address that, I don't think it will be an issue with the shared parking, but that's my understanding.
I don't want to say something that's untrue, and I couldn't say that I have specific knowledge about the terms of the parking that's there presently, because I don't manage the building on a daily basis just yet. Ultimately, my team will take over once that happens. We have a very good management company, very good management team, and we only manage buildings that we develop, and we only develop buildings that we manage. So it's something that we're very sensitive to. The site is presently heavily underutilized economically. So at times, other than having an opportunity for revenue, we also recognize that there are needs within the town of Trumbull that there may not be other locations to be able to service. So at present, we felt that it was, I guess, if I may speak on behalf of my partners who are dealing with this and manage it at present, we felt that it was okay, it was satisfactory to have that there because it wasn't disruptive. But once we have this type of tenancy there, it wouldn't make economic sense, and it wouldn't be prudent to have that type of parking. It almost feels commercial in that regard, and it would detract from the value and the function of the rest of the space. If they're tenants in the space and they have requirements and use for vans that they use regularly, might be a different story in the commercial building. But we would venture to assume that the availability of that space would be better served for purposes that are more in line with the type of development that we are contemplating.
And one other question. So the existing commercial building, are there any improvements that you're planning to do on that? Around it especially?
The funny thing is that I was expecting a question of that nature, and I want to try to be as forthcoming as I can with that response. It's difficult at this stage to undertake specific economic or promises, so to speak, for delivery. It very much depends upon the timing of the capital needs to make those improvements and the tenancy that we would like to bring into the building, improve the tenancy and the quality of the tenant in that building, which we feel it'll be a two-way street. In other words, the residence is there the residential component ought to lend for a better and more appropriate tenant for that location, and the services offered in the commercial building will likely be services that are offered to the residents that will live adjacent, that they'll both benefit in both directions. The revenue opportunities today are limited in such that it's difficult to justify investments to beautify the location, the present edifice, the building, and its surrounding area. With this, it's prudent, again, I'm sorry to overuse that word this evening, but it's prudent to improve the beauty of the site overall to ensure that it provides for us better economic opportunities. So I can't commit to it, but our expectation is that there will be justification for beautifying that building as well, once that opens itself up.
Mr. Cousins?
Looking at the landscape map, and definitely interesting the variety of plants that are present on the landscape map. It was mentioned that there will be maintenance and materials on site for maintaining the building. Are there also materials for the landscape? Sometimes you see a plan like this, and in 5 years you have a wall of dead conifers. So I wonder if that's part of the plan also.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a typical guarantee for our landscaping, and I'm sure, like the applicant has mentioned, there will be maintenance to the landscaping should it need to be improved. We're pretty serious about it, as you've noted, and we wanted to make sure it's a residential feel as best as we can possible. So we will do everything we can to make it that function that way.
Just, and Mr. Cousins, just for a reminder, there will be a landscape bond for this, and then the landscaping plan is part of the application and part of the approval, so they have to stay in compliance with it forever. So.
Yeah, there's a 1-year livability, so if anything dies, they have to replace it.
Mr. Deacon?
Comprehensive plan, I got no questions.
Ms. Hall?
No, this is a great plan. Interesting, I actually work for Rad Lighting, so so I know the lighting company very well. Is it encompasses with floodlighting? How many floodlights do you have?
It's all overhead lighting, I believe. So, do you have the numbers on floodlights? I don't know that we have.
I just want to clarify, the terminology. We're not providing any floodlights. Floodlights are a little bit too extreme. We don't want to have that for this site just due to the residential nature. We are installing, however, about 22 new poles. And those are 20 feet tall, like I mentioned. They'll be dark sky compliant, downward facing, and we believe it fits the nature of the building, as Frank and team has discussed.
Right, they just have to be illuminated differently, correct?
Excuse me?
They just have to be lit up differently.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And we provide the lighting photometrics for, our applicant just mentioned, just to provide safety for the parking areas. We don't want it too dim so people feel unsafe, but we don't want it too bright where it feels like it's a stadium or something like that, So it will be dimmed as much as possible to provide the safety for the tenants, and just neighboring development as well. And just to mention, we do have 0.0 illumination at the property line.
And they're a great brand. So.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I know it was in the notes somewhere, and I'm not sure where, but could you talk about the existing sidewalks and what there will be with the new development?
So there's already some existing sidewalks that exist kind of within the Cambridge Drive area of the project. As part of our discussions with town staff, they were very interested in making sure that we had connectability between the existing buildings there, particularly the commercial building that's on the site as well as the commercial building to the north, because they both host medical companies in one way or another. And it may be applicable to those over 55 residents who are living in the community to be able to get back and forth from these buildings. So part of what we've designed into the plan is walkability from the site to those existing properties along Cambridge Drive. And again, that will all be lit within the confines of our property with 0-foot candles going beyond. But part of the plan was to integrate the existing commercial structures there with the new building. And all of the sidewalks will be ADA compliant, yes.
And I know somewhere else it mentioned access to bus route. Where is that related to, and how easy is that in terms of sidewalks or walkability? I know I saw it somewhere there.
I don't off the top of my
Okay.
head know if it's on a bus route or not. It may be. I don't recall if there was anything in the package about this.
There was some, yes, within,
There's definitely an Old Town Road
Yes.
bus.
So if that's the case, then there's easy walkability, accessibility from the site to Old Town Road.
Okay, is there anybody here from the public now to speak for or against? Come on up if you'd like to say anything and name and address for the record.
Sure to press the button for the mic.
Hi, my name is Hattie Petway. I live at 1375 Old Town Road. And my unit is right there on Old Town Road. And my biggest concern is I am just recently retired, and that Old Town Road is a busy road. There is trucks and cars speeding up and down that road all day, and especially at night. Nobody in our unit parks on Old Town Road because all of the unit I'm at, cars have been hit on Old Town Road because it's speeding. People speed on Old Town Road. So my concern was there's going to be an exit out of the complex onto Old Town Road, and if so, where on Old Town Road? Is it going to be further up Old Town Road, or is it going to be closer to my unit on Old Town Road, or is it going to be close to the gas company that's on Old Town Road? Because whenever they come there, they park all along the side, across the street, to work on that building. And so I just wanted to know where that other exit thing is going to be.
Be happy to respond if.
No, you gotta kind of like show me, because I live there.
Sure. If you mind, I can.
Yeah, we generally don't do question and answer, we just take input, but
Yeah.
you waited all night, we'll let them answer your question.
Okay, because I've seen this, I went on your website and I've seen all this, but it doesn't show me.
So the gas company is basically right here. Your home is off our page, further
Yeah.
down. So you're around the curve. You're at the bottom, basically, of that hill. I'll say, right. We're on the flat part, across the street almost from where the gas company utility is.
And my unit is right next to the gas company.
It's further down the side.
Okay, I live there, so I know you're talking about having an interest there, and people are gonna be coming in and out, and most likely it will be the people that are 55 and up.
It's only gonna be 40 to 60 cars all day, so you're gonna be okay.
Okay, that's fine. So that was my biggest concern, but then when you were talking about the lighting, I don't want my unit lit up
You won't
because
see,
I had that
you won't,
concern with
all the lighting has to stay within the development. And they've
Okay.
already presented that plan, that's why they said there's no lights on the building, they're all poles in the parking lot.
Okay, great. And that was my biggest concern, because I got that gas company over there, and they kind of light up my unit like a Christmas tree sometimes, and I have to call and let them know, So it sounds
you.
like a really nice place, and
Thank you.
hopefully it'll make that area look beautiful. I do have another question though. It might not be concerned this. 7 Cambridge, we came here the last time because they were building a storage. Is that still going to happen?
Yeah, so we can't discuss anything except this application, and I wouldn't know anything about it, because there's nothing in front of. The only thing, you can call the office, and they can tell you whatever public information exists about it. Town of Trumbull's planning and. Right, the
Okay.
secretary's name is Rob, ask for him.
Rob? Okay,
Yep.
thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
there anybody else here to speak for or against the application? Okay, hearing none. Any final thoughts?
Just to respond to the last comment, again, there will be access both on Old Town Road as well as the existing access on Cambridge Drive. So I do imagine that if there is heavy traffic on Old Town Road and there's problems getting in and out, it's going to be much easier to kind of in and out through Cambridge Road. From Old Town Road. You can get in and out from Cambridge Road, and then that comes to an intersection with Old Town Road where you can easily kind of get around as opposed to coming direct out on Old Town Road. But again, thank you. We really appreciate the commission's time tonight. Hopefully we're not here too late, and thank you again. We're happy to, deal with any further comments.
We're done.
Okay?
Okay, hearing any more, you all set? All right, we're all set? Okay. At this time, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So
Mr. Deacon, second. Ms. Hall, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. At this time, I will take any motions.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
With the
yeah,
following
we're gonna do
conditions.
this, we're gonna do this in 2 steps. Right, now we have to go back. Right now, we are going to take a motion. We closed both because we heard both, but now when we're gonna vote, we gotta vote one at a time. Because we can't do 3 before 2. So now we're gonna hear file 2509, which is the zone change to apply the zone to this property. So I will take a motion for that.
Motion to approve 2509.
Is there a second? Ms. Delvecchio. Okay. Any further discussion on the zone change? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the record, that zone change states that the proposed zone change complies with the comprehensive plan and it's in keeping with the plan of conservation and development. The effective date is 6/27. All right. Now, on to the next one. We will do number 3. Somebody's microphone's on. Okay. Number 3, 12 Cambridge Drive, file 2510. That's the application to do the development on the property. I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Yeah. Okay. Time for discussion. Okay, so I'm just going to read this and somebody can say what I asked for, hopefully. So what we heard, and we'll just add these conditions now, and then we'll have further discussion as we go forward. One condition will be that the applicant must satisfy the state electric vehicle EV requirements and any plan for EV charging stations also must be approved by the town planner. That's condition 1. Condition 2, the town planner is to review and approve the final architectural selections. Condition 3, that the applicant must install a generator approved by the town planner and all necessary departments. And number 4, there will be a landscape bond set by the town planner. Those are the 4 conditions. Is there a motion to apply those 4 conditions?
Wait, I have a question first. Is the shared parking supposed to be, do we have to approve the shared parking? No, okay, thank you.
I'll take a motion to approve the 4 conditions.
So moved.
Seconded by Ms. Hall. Any discussion on the amendment to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the original motion, say aye. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the original motion is now amended. So now is there any further discussion on the original amendment, the original motion that's now been amended with these conditions? Around the room, Mr. Cousins, you're all set. Mr. Deacon, you're all set. Mr. Delvecchio, you're all set. Ms. Hall, you're all set. So am I. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as amended, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where's the magic paper? The magic paper says that the P&Z has proposed this application complies with the comprehensive plan in keeping with the plan of conservation and development, and the established effective date is 6/27. Thank you all very much. It's all approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have one more thing, bond release. Oh, number 4 Trefoil has been asked to, they withdrew. So we're just gonna move on. We don't have to do anything. Bond release. Moorfield Farms, request release of their full erosion control bond. Huntington Turnpike, 2157, file 1920. Staff, did they meet all the conditions?
The engineering department did go out there and did inspect it, and they do comply.
Wow. So, I forgot because Moorfield already happened, and Mr. Cordone and myself have to recuse ourselves from this. You have to come up and run the last piece of the meeting for this, and then you get to close it, because we're not coming back. Alright, so, for the record, I have to recuse myself, because Mr. Cordone and myself recused ourselves from the original application. Linda, I'm gonna leave this here, you can take it with you.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Planner, before we step out?
No, sir.
All right. I haven't been the chairman in 11 years, so it's been a while. Okay. All right, last application is 1920. Bond release, Moorfield Farms Development LLC requests release of full erosion control bond for 2157 Huntington Turnpike. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman.
Hey.
The engineering department did go out there, and they do comply with the landscaping requirements, and we believe the bond should be released.
Rob, why did it take 6 years?
They had a lot of vegetation issues. They were doing the work house by house, so it was taking some time. They had to, I think, plant a lot of wetlands vegetation there too. There was a lot of issues with the growth on site that had to be replaced, so there was a lot of moving parts there that had to be figured out.
Fair enough. Well, at least they finally got it done. Questions? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Delvecchio, second. Commissioner Hall. Call the question. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Kroll, you're voting for me, I guess. No, you can't vote for me because I'm voting for myself. You're voting for Mr. Garrity. Right? Yeah. We can do this. Okay, that's it. Planners report.
Nothing at this time. We should be getting the POCD final draft to you guys soon. We just need one more person to review it, and we should be good to go and start that planning process.
Excellent. Acceptance of the minutes from April 23rd. Let's entertain a motion from the acting secretary, which would be, I'm playing. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve April 23rd, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Kroll, seconded by Ms. Delvecchio. All in favor? Aye. All right. Acceptance of the minutes from May 1st, 2025. Just to confuse things, I can't vote on this one either. So someone else make a motion. Ms. Delvecchio, seconded. Mr. Kroll, all in favor? 4, 1 abstention. Deacon. All right. Motion to adjourn. Delvecchio, Hall, all in favor? So moved. Mr. Dennis, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.